Today's session is about activity design in Seesaw. And I'm actually really excited for this session because I know that I'm just about ready to start designing my lessons for my remote CS classes. I'm really excited to get a chance to work on these skills myself. I actually will demonstrate a little bit of a lesson that I worked on and show you how I did it. And it's certainly not a finished product yet, but something that I was able to accomplish a couple of things at the same time by being able to work on a lesson that I hopefully in the next couple of weeks will be actually delivering to students. So today's session we're going to talk basically in three areas. So first we're going to talk about the activity library. So if any of you are unfamiliar with that space, we're going to talk a little bit about how to find things in there, how to add things, create collections, assign, that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about that for a few minutes, and then we're going to talk about creating a new activity. And again, a lot of it's going to be guided around an activity that I've been working on for one of my own classes, and I'll kind of show you what I've put in there so far and how I did it. And again, we were going to start by talking about the activity library, which I have now up on my screen, my teacher account. And anytime I want to go and find the activity library, I just go and press this add button right here. And then I will press assign activity, and that pulls me right into the activity library. And so what you see here is a collection of activities that you've created, as well as activities that you've recently assigned, activities that you've liked. Everything kind of shows up here in a list of your most recently accessed. So if we're looking for an activity that we have accessed before, you might find it here. And we'll talk about collections in just a second. The other thing, another section here is called School and District. And so when I click on that, that will show us activities that other staff in RSU 20 have used or liked or have decided to share in this district here. And I can show you how to do that. And you can see that this is just the list of kindergarten things. So we have a lot of kindergarten teachers who are very busy on Seesaw, and I can switch through and go and let's see what's in grade 1, grade 2, so on and so forth. I can also just view by all, and I can view by subject too, which is really nice. So lots of different options for you there. And then community. That is kind of the open place for Seesaw teachers from all over the world to share things with all of you, different activities. And when I'm here, I can search by grade. I can search by subject again. I can do kind of like a Google search. So sequencing is an important part of computer science, so I might find something in here that goes along with that. So there's some different options and things that you can do there. So that's pretty cool. When you find an assignment that you want to add to your collection, let's do a kindergarten computer science one here. Let's go with, let's see, parts of a computer. That would be a good computer science lesson. So if I wanted to just use this one with my students, I would go ahead and just click on it to open it. And you'll see that the directions for the activity are right here. I can click play instructions to listen to what the teacher has included in their instructions. I can see the template that we were going to use, and then I can access that template. The one thing that we can't do is we can't edit anything that's on here, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I guess it is what it is. You kind of end up assigning the template as is, but that is how it is, I guess. So Once you're on an activity, you can choose to favorite that activity, so you can press the heart, and then you can assign it right from this space here too. So if I press assign, you'll see here's the list of the classes that I have, and I can choose a whole class at once. I can press for that class. I can also, within a class, select individual students. So if I go to edit students, you'll see here's my list. I can narrow down and just assign to one student or a group of students. If you use folders, you can also select what folder you want the activity to be in. If you're maybe using folders to sort assignments by subject. And if you're using skills too, you can do all that stuff from here. But I can assign this to one student, and I can also schedule the activity. So I know that the one thing we definitely don't want to do in Seesaw is overwhelm students with the number of activities. We don't want them to come in and see that there's 25 things. So certainly scheduling over time as you want them to access it is something that would be really important for being able to kind of sustain everything. So if I press schedule, you'll see that right now it would assign immediately, or I can assign on a specific date or time. So this is a great option because obviously when you have the time, working as far ahead as possible is a great thing to do, but certainly we don't want to overwhelm our students either. So scheduling is a great way to help manage that for both you and for the students and their parents. So that's something you can do. And if I just press assign to one class, and let me pull up my iPad screen here. So this is the student that I assigned it to. Things don't always show up right away as you do them. This is a trick that you can use as well as to show your students. If you just swipe down from the top of the screen, actually I'll have to go under activities. But if I swipe down from the top of the screen, you'll see I get this little refresh thing, and when I do that, you'll see that it now shows up. I think I scheduled. Hold on a second. I think I might have. I assigned it to the wrong student. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. So now we're going to try it again, and you'll see there is that new activity. We're going to also talk about collections real quick too. So under any activity, either that you have created or you have found in the library or that someone else has shared with you, which we'll talk about sharing in a second too, you can create collections, and I think that is a great way to help you keep your all of your activities more organized. I think as we go along and we accrue more of these, we're going to need that kind of organizational tool. So if I just press on these three dots right here, and then I can add to collection. Oh, that's interesting. I just noticed that I can now copy and edit the activity once I've assigned it. So that's interesting how that works. I'll have to investigate that a little bit more, but I just noticed that. But anyways, I'll go add to collection. And then right now I don't have any. Particular collections. So I'm going to go ahead and create one, and I'm going to go ahead and say K, and I'm going to call this one hardware because that is kind of one of my strands in my classes that we talk about is computer hardware and what some of the different components of a computer do. So if I were to do this with kindergarten, I'll call this K hardware, and that way I can kind of do a kindergarten, a first grade, and a second grade, and have those sorted out. So I can go ahead and hit create. You can add, I think you can add to multiple collections. Let me try it here. Let me see if I can go one hardware. And yep, you can. So you can add to multiple collections. It's a little bit annoying that I have to go back in and add collection to do it every time. I wish I could just kind of add them all from one place, but I guess that is what it is as well. But in any case, that's a way that you can organize your different activities. So Now when I go back to my library, you'll see that I now have this new activity that's part of my recent ones. And then now you'll see here I have under my collections, I now have 2 collections that I've created. You can see that in the K hardware I have 1, and the 1 hardware I have 0. And you'll see that it also shows me that I have 2 activities that are not in a collection, which happen to be these 2 right here. So I can go into this one, which I'll show you this activity in just a minute. And I can go to the 3 dots here, and I can add to a collection, and we'll go ahead and do that right now. So actually, it's not what I wanted to do. Let's go back here. And now you'll see that I have 2 activities in the K hardware collection and only 1 that is not currently assigned to one. One more thing I wanted to show you is sharing. So I know that I've talked with some of you about possibly working with grade level teams to kind of focus on a particular area as far as creating activities or finding activities, like a particular subject to assign to the students. So one of the things that you can do to help manage that is if you're looking for something in particular, you can share that activity with another teacher. And it can be one of yours, or it can be one that you find on the community. So let's say if this was an activity that I wanted to share, I really like this one, and this was an activity that I wanted to share with all of my grade level teachers because my focus is on math. So I'm going to share the math activity with them, and then we can assign it to our own individual classes. I can click on the 3 dots again, and I can share this activity. And then it gives you a couple of different options. So you can do a direct email to teachers. You can share on social media if you wanted to. You can get the teacher a link and then copy and paste that into an email or a Google Doc or something like that. Or the activity embed code, which I didn't even know anything about the embed code, but I'm sure you could use that for something. But chances are you're going to want to just email the teachers and hit that. And then if you take a look, it kind of shows you the list of all of the teachers that are in your current school, which it'll be interesting. I'm not sure how to manage that with multiple schools, but I'll have to figure that out. But in any case, that's a way to share things back and forth. And again, kind of the goal being to maybe make things a little bit more manageable if you work along with grade level teams or something like that. So did I save the lessons / activities by clicking the heart? Yes, that's exactly what I did. And what happens there is it will show up as something under your recent activities. Obviously, as you go along, that will kind of get a little bit buried as you go along. So, again, what you can do there is you might want to like the activity, but then also add it to a collection. So I can go here, and then you'll see that now. Now we'll do that. And so, and it looks like this was actually one of our own kindergarten teachers that created this activity, so that's pretty cool. So now it's right here. I also get this like quick assign button too. So if I'm kind of searching up a storm for Seesaw activities, I can come back later and assign them. Or if you're working ahead on your on creating your assignments, you can press the assign there if you're not sure exactly when you're gonna actually assign it. I see a question: is there a way to mark an activity so that we know we have already used it? Some of them look very similar to others. That's a really great question, and I actually am not sure. I would have to spend some time looking that up. If I go back to my class real quick, you'll see that I can see here what has been assigned to the class, but I don't know that there's an indicator. Like if I go back to this activity, because I did already assign it, I don't think I get an indicator that I've already assigned it to a class. So I'm thinking the answer is no, but I will I will see if I can find an answer to that, because that would be a really good thing to do, and see what happens.
Yeah, Jeff. I've sent an email through the Seesaw Help page asking them as well. So if I hear something, I'll let you know. The other thing I wondered about is just simply if you have them in collections, that might be easier. For example, if we're doing shapes, you could go into your shapes collection and just see if it's already there. That's the only thing I thought.
As far as like creating a collection for like already assigned things.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you could definitely do that if you wanted to do. If you wanted to you could add a collection just on like math completed or something like that, and put it there, and that way you would get a sense of that. You'd kind of have to go back and forth to kind of figure that out, but that is a potential workaround for sure. I actually like that idea. So we will go ahead and move to the next part, which is creating a new activity, and we're going to start this part by talking about an activity that I've created. And again, this is by no means a finished product. So let me go ahead and pull up my iPad here. We're going to explore it first from the student side. And so this is the activity that I created. This actually is going to be one of my lessons for my virtual CS classes for kindergarten, which is what is a computer, from the CS in San Francisco program, which is a really, really great unplugged computer science program where there's actually stuff you can do that's off the computer, although with Seesaw we kind of have to do it on one anyway. But you'll see a couple of the elements of what I've created here. So I have a just a thumbnail that if I press on it, I'll kind of see like a preview of what's in here. I can go through the different slides. So I have 5 pages to the activity. Again, it's not completely finished, but it was what I was able to finish before 12 o'clock this afternoon. I have these text directions right here. And we'll talk about these buttons too. I'll show you how I created those, but it's actually really cool how to do that. You'll also see that I've recorded audio instructions for this activity. So if I press play instructions, you'll start to hear those. In this activity, we begin our study of computer science by asking, what is a computer? And that's just me reading the directions, but certainly you can add other pieces to it. I'll also show you that you can create other types of instructions, like you could create an instructional video here if you wanted to. So there's lots of possibilities. And then the most important button for your students is going to be the add response button. So I'm going to press add response here. And you're going to see that what I've created so far is a warm-up page where I have a video, and I put some Bitmojis just for the heck of it. And I also have these speaker icons. So obviously with kindergartners, they're not going to be able to read pretty much any of the words that I put on here. So obviously a support that you want to provide for kindergartners with anything that has text is someone reading it to them. So that's what I've done here. So I can press on the speaker next to warm up. Warm up. Watch the video below, then press the right arrow to go to the next page. So that kind of gives them the direction of what this is. This is the warm up and the direction for what to do. Watch the video and then go to the next page. I do have my video right here. And I can press play. Welcome to your first day of virtual computer science in kindergarten. My name is Mr. Sear, and I'm the technology teacher at your school. So you get the idea. And again, this isn't a finished product either, but it was the start, and I figured I'd just upload it. Also, another tool for you to use as a teacher is this caption thing right here, that if I go ahead and press on that, you'll see that I've also recorded audio directions here for them to use. That's one way of kind of including directions for the whole slide. If you want to use your like audio, your speaker buttons just to literally say the words, then you would put your instructions here. You can record your instructions as audio, and you can also leave text instructions. So I can go ahead and listen to what I've put here. Warm up. Start by watching the video below, and when you're done, press the right arrow. So you know about that. And then the last thing that I've done is I've put an arrow here that actually links to the next page of my slides. So I can listen to the speaker so it tells me what to do. Press this button to go to the next page. So I can press on it. And specifically, they end up pressing this link button right here. And then that's going to go to page 2. And then you'll see I have a new page. So this is the brainstorm page. And so the idea here is in the video, we talk about a couple of examples of what computers are, and then have them think about what kinds of other computers they may have encountered in their life. So the idea by the end of it is to sort of expand their horizon of what a computer is, that it's not just like an iPad or a desktop or a laptop or even a phone, but it can be a watch, it can be a car, it can be a vacuum cleaner. At this point, it can be an entire home. There's lots of ways in which the things around us can be computers. So the idea here is just for a little bit of a brainstorm for them and to just get them thinking about, well, what are some computers that they've seen? And then to use their drawing tools to explain why to draw an idea for a computer. So if I just wanted to do something like an iPad, I could just go ahead and make something. There's my iPad. It's a beautiful iPad. And then I say when you are done to use the record tool to explain why you think it's a computer. So I could press the record tool. And this is interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and start a recording. This is a computer because I can play games on it. It's a great reason. And now I can press play. This is a computer because I can play games on it. So it did tell me that it was re-recording something, and I'm not entirely sure what is re-recording. Oh, I know what it is. So after you record their sound, these speaker icons are no longer, it looks like they're no longer active. So, okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize that worked that way. So, but in any case, hopefully, after you've explained some of the directions that shouldn't be a problem for them. But so I've recorded my instructions. The idea behind this activity was that I wanted them to think of up to 3 examples. So I created 3 of the same type of page for them to actually do. And then the last page was going to be a reflection page in which I would post another video, and we'd talk about some of the other types of computers that maybe they haven't thought of, like the car and the vacuum cleaner, stuff like that. So again, just trying to kind of create a picture of their head of like, whoa, like there are many types of computers out there. So
is each one of the slides a separate file, or are they all on one file and it just goes through the arrow?
Yeah, so they're all on one file. If you look on the right side of the screen, you'll see that I have the pages right here. So in Seesaw, you can create up to 20 pages. In the paid version, in the free one, it's more limited, but we can assign it to up to 20, and students can also add their own pages too. So I'm in on the student side, but it looks the same. In the bottom right corner, it says add page. So when I go to show you about creating those pages, I'll also show you about creating links.
Okay.
Yep, which you can create links to individual pages as well as links to like websites and stuff like that. So if I
Okay, great.
if I wanted to, on slide 1, instead of embedding the video, let's say if it's a YouTube video, I could actually just make a link that goes right to that YouTube video and they'd be able to watch it. So yeah, we'll talk about links in just a second.
Okay, thanks.
Do I assign it to the entire class or individual students for the interactive drawing response? So each student gets their own copy of it. So it's kind of like the option in Google Classroom about make a copy for each student. So the students aren't going to add a response and then see everyone else's responses. They're just going to have their own version of this activity, and then they're going to be able to interact with it and submit it to you. So you're going to probably want to assign your activities to the whole class, but then you're going to get individual responses back from each of the students. So let's talk about creating an activity. So on the teacher side, I'm going to go back to assigning an activity to go back to the activity library. And we're going to create a new activity. And so anytime you go to create a new activity, you start with this screen right here. So when you start by creating an activity name. And so let's say if I was going to do another activity, and this is just kind of my coding system for how I sort of code my lessons and organize them. I actually don't remember what the second lesson is, so I'm just going to call it insert lesson name here. One of the things about creating a new activity is there isn't like a draft version, like saving a draft of an email. You just only have the option of saving it. But even if it's not finished, you can go back and edit it later. So if you're starting something and don't have time to finish it, like you're okay pressing save. It's not going to lock you out of editing it in the future. So just so you know about that. Then we have the student instructions, which that's actually probably like the last thing that I do. I kind of build my activity first, and then I figure out like what I actually want them to do, and then I create my instructions. So I can go ahead and leave this blank for now, as well as adding voice instructions. So once I created my activity, then I wrote my instructions, and then I read my instructions with the voice. So, but you also have this option here, like what I was talking about earlier. You can also add multimedia instructions or an example. So if I wanted to create a video with the directions, I could go and add a video here. You'll see it looks very similar to what students do when they add something to their journal. And then I can pop open my webcam. Not that one. There we go. There I am. So I can go ahead and start recording a video, and then that becomes part of their instructions that they would see right where it would say add voice instructions. And then the next piece that I do, as far as having this here, this is where you go to add your template. This is where you go to add that so that when students add their response, they get this. Otherwise, if there's no template, when the students go to respond, they'll actually see this, and they would choose how they would want to respond to it. So they could take a picture of something or make a drawing or whatever. So if you want to have them all kind of be in the same place, looking at the same thing with the same directions, you definitely want to create your template. And I think the easiest way to start a template is by creating a drawing. Just because if you create a photo or a video, it kind of creates it like full screen. And I don't necessarily want a page with a video on the full screen. I want like what I did here, where it's kind of embedded into the screen, but it's not the whole thing. So I just chose drawing for that because that just creates a nice sort of blank white canvas for you to add things around the way that you want. But certainly you can do just about anything. I know that a teacher that I work with will use the note as far as if she just wants to do a quick activity, like a quick response type thing, of like, how are you doing? Or what is this? Like some question she wants them to answer. And then what actually happens in that case is they would basically respond to this note. But for me personally, I prefer to use the drawing and start from this blank canvas. So from here is where I go ahead and add all the different components that I want. And I'll actually address one of the questions that was left in the Google form, which is linking videos from Screencastify into a lesson. So we're gonna talk about that right now, because that was certainly one of the elements that I had here, was that this is actually a Screencastify video that I recorded. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Screencastify real quick. And we'll go ahead and record a quick video so I can kind of show you the process of how you would get from Screencastify into Seesaw. So let's go ahead and record a browser tab. I'm not going to embed the webcam, and I'm going to hit record. I'm going to count down. Here are the topics for today's session. And then I'm going to pause the recording and end the recording. And so now you'll see that I have this quick video for today's session. So what I'm going to do from here is, first of all, it automatically saves it into your Google Drive in a folder called Screencastify. But it gives you additional options for what to do with that video. I don't know if you can pull that video directly into Seesaw, because I don't know that Seesaw supports the video format it creates it in, which is .webm, but under download it gives you additional options for how you want to download this file. If you just press download right here, it downloads that file, that .webm file. I'm going to actually want to do this one, which is export as MP4, which is a more universal video format that Seesaw certainly works with. So I can just press this button here. And I don't think you have to worry about converting to fixed frame rate. I think you can just press export. And you'll see in the bottom here, I've got a progress meter, so it's going to let me know when it's done, and which is right now, which I can press. And I now have that file in my downloads folder. So now if I want to put it into my Seesaw activity, I can press on the camera right here, and I can press upload, which these first two will record right from your webcam. So if you just wanted to record yourself straight into your canvas here, you could certainly do that. But I'm going to upload the file because I recorded it somewhere else. And a lot of times for me, I like to edit my videos before I kind of put them up live, I guess. So I'm going to press upload. And so now you'll see here's the video I just downloaded. And I'm going to press open. And there it is. My video is now in Seesaw. I can resize it with these little circles around the edges, because I certainly don't want it to take the whole screen, but we will have it be a part of it. So I'll put it right here in the middle. So that was how you do that, how you get from Screencastify into Seesaw. And certainly too, if you do screen recordings from your iPad, you can certainly get a video on your iPad or your tablet into Seesaw in a very similar way. Now, another thing I'll show you really quickly here is that if you notice from the student side, I'm not able to actually move anything around at the moment. Now, it does tell me that I can unlock to move, but unless they actually go in and decide to do that, everything is going to stay where they are. Whereas if I unlock it, so let's say that I sent this activity and I forgot to lock this video, when the kids go in and add their response, then they can actually move that around. So just one thing to be a little bit careful of when you're doing your lesson design is just to make sure that things are kind of set up in a way where you don't necessarily end up with a response where everything's all over the place and it's kind of hard to understand what their actual response is, because stuff is just really messy. So to do that, and this is the same for anything that you add into Seesaw, we're going to go to these three dots right here, which are very handy. And I'm going to go ahead and create a lock. And that means that even for editing purposes, I can no longer move this around my screen. I have to go back into the three dots and unlock in order to move it back around again. In this menu, you have other options too, which include order. So let's say if you have, let's say if we have a shape here, and I put this shape right on top. So in the order as far as layers, your star is the top layer, your video is the bottom layer. And if I go in order and change that layer, if I say send to back, now my video is the top layer, my star is the bottom layer, and I can no longer see the star. So I'd have to go back into order on the video, send that to the back, and then that way, if you're kind of layering things on top of each other, that's a tool that you might want to use. But I don't suspect would really use that often. Also, right here, this is the link. So again, let's say if this wasn't an actual video, but say it was like a thumbnail or a picture, and I wanted to send them to a YouTube video, I would press link, and I would enter the URL, and then now, when they go to respond, they're going to see this link icon, and then it's going to show them the name of the website and the URL, and when they click on that, that's going to open up YouTube in a new window, or it's going to take them out of their Seesaw app and into something different. Let's see, other options. Yeah, so delete, duplicate, those kind of things. Also, I did notice under shape, when I put the star in there, I have this additional option called style. So I can decide what kind of star I want. Do I want just an outline? Do I want kind of filled in? You can also change your color with the color bar on the right side. So we're gonna make it a red star, and I could do something like that. On a lot of the different elements with text too, you have a different style thing. So just like with my student one, I'm gonna make a text box that says warm up. So there's the text tool right there. And I'm going to move, I'm just going to type first, warm up, and then I can move that around. Again, I can lock it into place. But before I do that, I want to change the style. And you'll see that it gives you kind of 6 different font styles that you can change it to. So we can make it newspaper, feather, so on and so forth. And then you also have kind of your fill. So do I want a text box with no border, or do I want a text box with a border, or do I want to invert my colors? So I actually end up with a black text box and white fill, which I can change, just like I did with the star. So I can make a blue. Again, I could invert so then my text is blue and my border is blue, or just the text is blue. And then you can align your text too. So I could do left align, center align, or right align, whatever you want to do. So anytime you have an option that says style, that's kind of some of the things you can do with it. Is there a way to enlarge font? So the only way really to enlarge font is to enlarge the whole box. There isn't like a font size option like with a text, like a word processor type thing. But if I just go ahead and resize, then it will make the text bigger. Also, as I go and type my text, it will resize the text to fit inside that box. So as you can see, or actually in this case, it just kind of makes a bigger box. In this case, I have a bigger word, so it just kind of, it'll expand the box as it needs to, I guess I should say.
Okay, that's what I was afraid of, but I figured I'd ask.
Yeah. So that's the only way to change the font. So I should also mention this too. So on the bottom where your drawing tools are, the one thing to keep in mind is if you have a draw tool kind of enabled, and you go to like pick up and so you wanted to move this, I'm still on my drawing tool, so I can't pick it up. If you wanted to pick up something, you want to make sure that this move tool is selected so that then you can move that around. Otherwise, you'll just keep drawing until you get frustrated and give up trying to move something. But so that's another thing to keep in mind too. You might want to show that to your students because for some activities they may need to draw something, and some activities they may need to move something around. Like you may kind of put some manipulatives or something and have them sort of sort them into different categories or just kind of move them around the screen. So they'll need to know how to switch from one tool to the other. So you may just want to show them that if you haven't shown them that already. Again, just like with the student example that I have here, I do have multiple pages. So I'm going to go ahead and add a page right now. And we'll have something from blank. If you also wanted to make a copy of the same page, you could choose duplicate page. You just click on the three dots, and you can either duplicate the page you're on, or delete the page you're on. Which in this case, because I'm just on the first slide, I can't delete the only slide I have. So I can duplicate and have the same second page, or I can just go down and add a new page from blank. So let's see, what did I have here? So I had brainstorm. So let's go ahead and create a text box for brainstorm, and let's move that up here. We're going to lock that into place. We're going to use the text tool again to put the instructions. I'm just going to say draw something because I'm very original and know what I'm doing. We're going to change the style in this one though. We're going to make this newspaper, and we're going to change the color. We'll put that right there, and we'll also lock that into place. And then so like I had here, we can actually create links to different pages if you just want them to kind of navigate in a certain way. They can certainly go in and press on a page if they want, but certainly the arrows just give them another way to navigate. I've also seen where some teachers will create their virtual or Bitmoji classrooms as activities, and so in some cases you might actually want to link to a specific page and not just the next page. So you would use that kind of thing for that as well. But there's an arrow shape that I can use, and so I can bring that over here. I'm going to add another one, and then I want this one to point to the left to be a previous. So in that case, I actually have to rotate the arrow, which is right here. I can just press it, and it rotates it counterclockwise 90 degrees. And now I can place that right there as I want to. And now, when I go and press on my three dots, and I go to link, so you'll notice that on the first page, when I went to go put a link, it only allowed me to link a website, and that's because I didn't have another page to link to in my Seesaw at the moment. So now that I have a second page, I can actually go and press link, and you'll see that I now have this new option that says link to page. So you can choose. You could link still to a website if you want, but I can also go here instead and choose either previous page or a specific page. And if there's a page after this, you would see previous and next, and then a full list of the pages that you have, and you can just choose which one you want it to go to. So I might choose previous page because like I had with the drawing, I have arrows for each one, and I don't necessarily want to have to do the linking on every single one. So I could just actually copy this with Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac. And actually, in this case, I duplicate a page, and it's going to be there anyway. All right, come on. Let me delete it. Let me delete it. Why won't you let me delete? There it is. So now if I go to add a page, I can Control V or Command V to paste. And you'll see that now I have that same link with the previous page. So instead of going, like here, it's going to bring you from page 2 to page 1. Here, it's going to bring you from page 3 to page 2, which is what I want. So captions, when I showed you in here that I had a caption at the bottom of each page that you could press on and you could either have text directions to read or audio directions. I can add a caption just by pressing that same button. And then you have the choice of what you want to do. So I can either do a text caption. Sometimes it's good to do both. Just because, sometimes like if the child's wearing their headphones and you're trying to help them, you can't hear what the directions are. So sometimes having the text directions too helps you follow along while they're using their headphones or whatever. So you can certainly do both. I can add a voice caption now. Draw something. I can press done. I can review that. Draw something. And then if that's what I want, I can actually just click out of this box and my caption will just be saved right there. Or if I wasn't happy with it, I could just press the trash can and then try another audio recording. So those are captions. And again, you can choose to do that on whichever pages you want. Each page has their own unique captions if you add them. And I think probably the last thing I wanted to show here was these audio things. So again, with the kind of learners that we're working with at this age level, they're not going to be able to read a lot of the text that you put. So having some audio narration of the text, I think, can be really helpful and make it more accessible for students. So I'll show you how to do that, because unfortunately there isn't like a quick, easy way to do it. And if you record with audio, it actually creates a recording for the whole page, and you can only create one. And if you notice that when we went to record on here, it kind of inactivated all of these other play things. So it kind of like makes your slide ineditable after that point. So, but in any case, I'll show you how to do it. So what you need to do is, first of all, you need to have a new page, just like this. And I'm just gonna make it blank. What I want to do here is I want to basically just bring in a picture of a speaker icon, just like this. So in this case, what I did was I just searched for speaker icon. And then obviously you're going to have all types of different options. I chose this one. And then this actually was not in a file format that I could use in Seesaw, so I followed the link into Wikipedia, and it gave me more options to download. So I wanted to download the PNG version of it. And then I could just right-click on it and say Save Link As. And I saved it to my downloads folder, so then I could upload it. So once you have the icon that you want to use, then you can go into the camera and you can press upload. And then we're going to upload. There's the picture right there. And then now you have this icon so that you kind of have that cue for the students as to this is what you're going to use to access, to hear what the text is. So from here, the next thing that I'm going to do is press the record button. So now you're going to record the narration that's going to go along with this icon. We're going to count down. Brainstorm. Press done. Let's preview it. Brainstorm. Okay, that sounds good. And so now this is actually what becomes that speaker icon. And I'm going to actually now just copy and paste this. So I just copied it. Again, Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac. And then I'm going to paste it right here. And now you'll see that's the video that we just made in the previous slide. And I can resize it. and I can move it where I want it to go. So maybe right here. I actually want to get it really close to the box, but you can see there's extra white space. So this would actually be a good place where I could send this to the back. So the box covers the white background instead of the white background covering the box. And now when you click on this, brainstorm, there's my narration, and that's exactly what the students would see. And we'll go ahead and lock this into place too. You can actually kind of copy and paste this as many times as you want. And I did discover that you don't have to create a new page for each narration. So even if I just deleted this slide, it would have no impact on this. It kind of makes it its own video file. So if you wanted to, you could kind of just use this speaker icon to re-record your narrations over and over again. So if I want to say draw something, I'll come back to the microphone tool, and I'll say start new recording. We'll count down. Draw something. We'll listen. Draw something. Okay? And same thing. You select it, you copy, and you paste. And then resize it. Do whatever you want to do with it. Move it where you want to move it. We're going to need to move this text box right here. We're going to lock that into place. And we're going to lock that into place. And you'll see that it preserves each text box. Draw something, or each narration. Brainstorm. So that way you don't have to have a separate page for each narration, because again, you do have a 20-page limit. So that could add up really quickly. And again, I could even just delete this page if I want to, and it's not going to have any impact on what I've already put here. So to me, that's a really, really important thing to do with our pre-readers is to support them in being able to understand what the directions are and what to do, is to add something like this. At this point, basically, you would just continue designing your activity until you're done. And then when you are done, you can press that check mark. Even if you're not, again, if you need to come back and do it later, you can just press that check mark. There's your template. You can save it, and then when you come back to it, you can just go right back and click on that template, and it brings you right back to where you were. So you can continue working at a different time. But let's say if we were done, now we can go ahead and write those student directions. And this is where I want to show you about those icon shortcuts like we have. We're going to go back here. You can see that these instructions have some of the different tools and things that, or buttons that they need to know what to press. So that, again, that visual of what they're supposed to press, which is really, really helpful for our pre-readers. So the way that we do that is through icon shortcuts. And I have a link to this on my website, but I will also link it in the chat real quick. And so basically here is the list of all of the Seesaw icons. And then next to it is the text shortcut, which is basically colon, the name of the shortcut, colon. So obviously probably the most common one that you would want to put in is the add response. So you would say colon, add colon. So if I go into my instructions and say click the colon, add colon button, it doesn't change it for you. It doesn't like auto correct or like become an emoji or something like that. But when I press the save button, it will convert it. So now you'll see when I go to when it comes back to my activity library, there's that button. It's right there. And if I edit it, you'll see again, it doesn't have it here, but it happens here, and on the student side it happens. So that way you'll know. So again, that's at the Seesaw icon shortcuts, which I've linked in the chat, and then also there's a link to it on this session page on my website, and you can use those as well.